Crime in the Community. A study of the Newfoundland justice system. The John Howard Society of Newfoundland presents Law and Order.
Two men, outlaws, thrown together by fate, seek revenge from the society that has alienated them, and leave behind a trail of the most brutal murders this decade has ever known. See the most outrageous crime spree ever brought to the screen. See Terror by Night. It's too real to ignore. Terror by Night, now playing at...
Are you sure this is the place? Yeah, I checked it out. Checked it out this hour. Down here. You want to shoot some pool? No, come on, we can do this. All right, it's no sweat. Come on. Okay, go. There. The door. You do the door. Okay. What is that? What? Oh, it's a dummy.
Police work can be real drudgery. The police department is undoubtedly the most misunderstood part of the justice system. It's not all action. It's not all glamour. In fact, usually anything but what most people seem to think police work is. And that's because, again, their ideas come not from understanding, but from familiarity with the fiction of the TV cop.
There's no comparison between TV shows and actual police work. You mentioned the show Kojak. Take a TV show such as this, where you have an hour show, the last 5 minutes, you have all this drama, action, where your high-speed chases, car crashes, shootouts, and all this. Where actually police work is just one routine. A lot of leg work, a lot of questions being asked. You, at a serious crime, you might have teams of 5 or 6 investigators, and you're talking about hundreds of hours for an investigation each man. So you're talking about hundreds of hours, where you're talking about, compared with a TV show, 1 hour. We would like to be able to operate that way, but we've been unsuccessful so far. We just got the wrong writers, I guess.
In Newfoundland, there are 2 police departments. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police began its work in Newfoundland as Canada's federal police force after Newfoundland joined Confederation. The Newfoundland Constabulary was one of the first police forces set up in what is now Canada. Officially, it began in 1871, with only 70 men to police the entire island. The Constabulary now has more than 200 members, although, even though it is a provincial police force, it works primarily in the St. John's area. The Constabulary is one of 3 provincial police forces in Canada. Police work is simple in that it is dictated by the laws of the land. Enforcing those laws is not usually a simple task. Many police officers believe the misconceptions about their work stems from the false images projected by the media and by films and television. And those misconceptions make police work all that much harder.
Well, I don't think we could limit it to Canadian police forces not operating that way. I think if a study was done of any police department, we would find that we all have similar duties, and the programs that we see on television or that the public are most apt to see deal with crimes of interest or heavy crimes which do make stories.
We do have some bad times when complaints are made to the police and they want an arrest made right on the spot, and the arrest is not made. Well, attitudes then are bad. We, when receiving complaints, we have to remember not to violate people's rights. We have to have reasonable and probable grounds to believe that a person did in fact commit a crime, and it has to be justification for an arrest. There are certain procedures that we have to follow, and we have to play it by the book, and that's the way it has to be. The prime role of a police department is the protection of life and the protection of property. If we're unable to protect the property, we would then do an investigation and to apprehend the culprit or culprits involved, and the recovery of the property that was stolen. The day-to-day function of any police department is very it's wide and varied. It's you have, well, we're on the streets, so we're talking about the Traffic Act, the Highway Traffic Act. We're talking about general patrols for the prevention of crime. And, well, you run then to domestic problems. And this type of activity that the police are involved in.
And beyond that, our duties are varied in that we are involved with search and rescue type incidents, lost hunters, lost and found property, drownings. The scope of our duties include just about any troublesome area that one might find themselves in.
Among the many misconceptions bred by television's fictionalized police officer is that of police powers and restraints. Police powers and jurisdictions are generally spelled out in provincial laws and in the criminal code.
The code provides that an accused person should be detained no longer than 24 hours. He's got to be brought before a justice within 24 hours or as soon as conveniently practicable. So the law in Canada is that we can't keep people locked up for in excess of 24 hours unless we can't find a justice or a magistrate to bring him before. So assume a person was arrested on Thursday night for a break-and-enter and was found inside a dwelling house, for example. The police in Newfoundland will invariably bring him up before court the next day. He'd be brought before the court, and the question of his release comes before the court. Now, the Crown has to show cause, generally, why he should be detained. We have the onus is thrust on us to show why his detention is justified. And in order to detain a person, there are only two grounds on which a person can be detained. Either that he is likely that he will not show up for court, or secondly, that he's a danger to the public. And unless the Crown can establish those two grounds, the justice or the magistrate will release the accused, generally on an undertaking or a recognizance, a promise to appear. In some cases, if an accused is awaiting trial and is at large and awaiting trial on another indictable offense and is charged with an indictable offense while he's at large, he has to show cause why he should get out. The onus shifts to him. But generally, the Crown has to show cause why a person should be detained, except in the case of murder charges, where the Supreme Court must hear the bail hearing. A judge of the Supreme Court must hear the bail hearing. And in that case...
Are there any charges for which it is not possible to obtain bail?
No, I can't think of any. There are many charges where it's difficult for an accused to obtain bail because he has to show cause, and maybe he can't show cause why he should be released. But there are no charges where to my knowledge, in the criminal code, where we can keep a person without giving him the right to apply for bail, or in fact, where it would be impossible for him to get bail, unless, of course, he failed to show cause why he should be released, if the onus were shifted to him in that situation. And that, in fact, has happened. In many cases now, particularly in St. John's, we are finding, as Crown Counsel, that the judges are very reluctant to let anyone out on bail if, in fact, he is charged with an offense and he's awaiting trial. He's been released on a recognizance or an undertaking and awaiting trial on another indictable offense. So, in fact, if you're charged with an offense, don't get in any more trouble. But the courts are very reluctant to let these persons out for the obvious reason that there's a likelihood that the public will be endangered, and the courts have always got to keep into consideration the protection of the public. From arrest time on, the accused has the right to remain silent. He is supposed to, and he invariably, to my understanding, is instructed by the police that he need not say anything in relation to the charge, and that if he does say anything, that whatever he says may be used in evidence against him. So he has the right of silence. The Supreme Court of Canada has held that if an accused wishes to consult legal counsel, that in fact the police must allow him to retain counsel.
What happens if someone can't afford a lawyer?
Well, we have a legal aid system here where anyone who can't afford a lawyer and is in requirement of legal instruction can in fact get it. The police at the lockup are notified constantly of the duty counsel's phone number, name and address, and they will instruct an accused person as to who is the duty counsel for legal aid. So if a person has no money, that's no obstacle in Newfoundland in terms of his getting counsel. He'll get counsel.
Well, a crime has been committed. We will receive a report from the public. Our members visit the scene, and depending on the evidence at hand or the seriousness of the crime, we either call in specialist services to assist, such as the identification section or the dog section, etc. The investigation then goes on the evidence at hand. We have got systems where we can immediately notify all police forces across Canada of items being stolen or individuals who we want or who we have warrants for, and other technical aids which assist us in the apprehension of those responsible for the particular criminal act.
Most crime is deeply rooted in society. Theft is the #1 crime against society, and 2/3 of the theft charges brought to court involve thefts under $200. Money may or may not be the root of all evil, but lack of money, or at least of material possessions, is definitely the root of a good deal of modern crime. And this is a difficult matter for the police or anyone else to deal with. Police forces try as much as possible to prevent crime. The police are here to serve society and to help the community.
Yes, our members are involved at each and every detachment in community affairs. We like to work very, very closely with the youth. Some of our programs in that area are sports-minded, in that we're involved with softball, hockey, soccer, other track and field events with the youth. Our members are called upon quite regularly to assist, particularly in smaller communities where they don't necessarily have the expertise, and where our members, due to their traveling around or exposure, have some experience in these different fields and are called upon to assist. We also are involved with such things as Boy Scouts, Cubs, water safety instruction, first aid instruction, as part of our police community relations program in the province.
Years ago, you would have the public would be afraid of the police. They were stayed away from them, had nothing to do with them. The police themselves are trying to do something about this. We now have educational programs where different teams of officers will go to schools, various associations, business establishments, lectures on request in relation to different topics, we have topics such as drug abuse, the role of police in society, traffic enforcement. We also are associated with different organizations where the police will partake in sports with the younger children, just so that not necessarily get to know one single officer any better, but just to so that they can get to know the police better in general.
In addition to, or actually as a means toward attempting to prevent crime, police are becoming more and more involved at the community level. Also, police departments are becoming involved in new ways of dealing with offenders, such as the various diversion programs, which are designed to cope with crime while at the same time avoiding the stigmatization of getting wrapped up in the criminal justice system.
We have diversion programs in effect at the present time in Stephenville and Corner Brook, Newfoundland, and we are involved at the grassroots level with the diversion program, and our exposure to date has been very successful, very encouraging with that approach to juvenile offenders.
What kind of an attitude do you find on the part of the juveniles? Are they receptive, or are they leery of police officers?
We find that the diversion program is most receptive to juveniles, and we have had very little second-time offenders dealing with individuals who have gone through the diversion program to date.
Could you explain how it works? How do you...
Basically, if we are dealing at the present time with first-time juvenile offenders, dealing primarily with property-type offenses, such as damage to property, theft, break and enter, etc. When an individual is apprehended or found responsible for this type of offense, providing that he has no previous criminal record, we approach the complainant, we approach a member of social services, and possibly the magistrate to get their views on that particular individual going through the diversion program. If all are in favor of processing that individual through diversion, and the individual himself or herself wishes to participate, bearing in mind that it is strictly a voluntary program, we then lay the details of the incident before all concerned, and a penalty which here again is determined by the all concerned, including the police, is assessed against the individual. And the penalties consist of, first of all, possibly restitution. The individual may be asked to work off any particular damage toward the complainant, in that he may be washing store windows or stocking shelves or doing other tasks around to compensate the owner for the damage or the loss involved.
Yes, this program is not actually new. Diversion, we if we pick up a juvenile now, the process now is that an investigation is completed, and a report is forwarded to the Department of Justice, where it's examined by a lawyer designated by the Department of Justice with that department, who forwards the report to Department of Social Services. The report then is examined and sent back with recommendations. Now, the police recommendation, Department of Recreation and Rehabilitation, their recommendation is all taken into view, and the end result is where the boy is sent. He may just go to court. He may be sent to an organization. It's a number of things that can happen to him. He may be referred to an organization such as Big Brother, this type of organization. He may be and as I say, he may have to go to court to answer to the charge, but that the crime that he committed. But this type of program is, we find this working out very well. It's an excellent program so far.
It's a new approach, and it's successful in our minds in that it is getting total acceptance by all those who have had contact with it, and the fact that we're having very few repeat offenders is certainly encouraging and tells us how successful it is.
Mm-hmm.